Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 300 based on novel. So let's start. The next day. In the morning, almost noon, Xiao Yan sat on his bed with his eyes closed. In the air around him, a trace of source gas gathered and flowed into his body with his breath. At the same time, his body also involuntarily exuded a faint momentum of oppression, just like an entrenched giant beast, which people dare not touch easily. After sitting here for several hours in the morning, all the consumption and fatigue of yesterday have been swept away. As long as Xiao Xian returns, he can start refining Zong Dan. With the Danfang of Zong Dan, Xiao Xian naturally paid attention to this matter. He went to the storage pavilion in the family early in the morning. With the huge resources of the Xiao family, I believe there will be no problem. Back. At a certain moment, Xiao Yang, whose eyes were closed, suddenly opened his eyes. While a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, his sitting body appeared in the hall of the attic. At the same time, at the gate of the courtyard, a familiar figure was also slowly stepping in. It was Xiao Xian. Seeing Bai Hua who came back from Xiao Xian in the courtyard, they got up and followed him to meet him. When several people came forward, Xiao Yang saw Xiao Xian's pale face and frowned subconsciously. Immediately, he couldn't help asking curiously, "How's it going?" "Basically complete." Xiao Xian smiled in a far-fetched way and conveniently sent a ring into Xiao Yang's hand, but when the latter heard this, he couldn't help but lock his eyebrows. The meaning of this word, but obviously there was still some medicinal materials. How could it be that with the collection of the Xiao family, it is impossible to collect all the medicinal materials for refining Zong Dan? That's not true. I just didn't expect to meet Xiao Qian in the storage pavilion today. He hurried me to take away the shumi grass first. Although he said a few more words, he still didn't get it back. Xiao Xian shook his head reluctantly. He didn't think that the shumi grass, which is the key to refining Zong Dan, would be taken away by Xiao Qian first. Now it seems that they have to find another way. Although the Xiao family is so large, the others may not have shumi grass in their hands, but there are those three elders. I'm afraid it's impossible for them to find it in the family. I'm afraid, look outside. Did you do it? Xiao Yang slowly clenched his palm under his sleeve robe, and his voice was a little low. As soon as the words came out, Bai Hua and his companions also changed slightly. They frowned and looked at Xiao Xian. If Xiao Yang hadn't mentioned it, they might not have noticed Xiao Xian's slightly pale face. Xiao Qian said he would give me the Sumeria grass after 3 moves, so I tried. When the latter heard the speech, he was stunned on his face and knew in his heart that he couldn't hide it from the former, so he smiled. "Xiao Qian." Xiao Yang wrote it down. In an instant, Xiao Yang's breath suddenly moved. The heaven and earth where several people are trembled. An invisible hurricane suddenly condensed on Xiao Yang's head until Xiao Xian patted him on the shoulder. The former's mood gradually calmed down. These are small things. The key is where to find the shumi grass now. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang suddenly came to his senses. As the root of refining Zong Dan, shumi grass itself has a good position in the 7-level pills. Even many 8-level pills will be supplemented by shumi grass. Its value is naturally not difficult to imagine. It is only difficult to search in ordinary medicine shops. Why don't you try the auction? The Xiao family also controls many auction houses. The nearest auction house is in Shuyang City, one of the 3 Yang cities. If you're lucky, you may be able to find it there. After a little thought, Xiao Xian said slowly, "Well, it's better to have a try than to do nothing. The right is to go out and relax." After pondering for a while, Xiao Yang nodded slightly and looked at the white birch on one side. She saw the excited color on Lian Er's pretty face and couldn't help laughing. Although the girl's mind was not mature, she was very wild, but looking back, she had been in a nervous state for half a month since she entered the Xiao family. It's time for her to relax. Hihi, the girl can't wait. Let's go. Now. Hearing Xiao Xian's words, Xiao Yang couldn't help raising his eyebrows. The former smiled at Liana and said, "Let's go without delay." "Yeah." The little girl jumped and cheered, and immediately turned and rushed back to the attic. Only Xiao Yang and Bai Hua looked at each other, but shrugged, while Xiao Xian turned and sat at the table, poured a cup of tea and drank it. By the way, there's something I think you might be interested in. Xiao Xuanhu opened his mouth and looked at Xiao Yang, who then turned his suspicious eyes. According to some rumors heard a few days ago, Dui Zong, one of the 4 major forces on the border of China, held a grand wedding and invited many forces to attend. Buzz. Before Xiao Xian's voice fell, Xiao Yang's face suddenly became gloomy. A strong killing intention that could not be contained suddenly rose at the bottom of his heart. In front of the stone table, Xiao Xian's eyes flashed slightly and his 2 fingers were lifted. Over Xiao Yang's head, a hurricane condensed into a sharp sword spirit, which pressed down Xiao Yang's strong killing intention. The wedding scene was quite big and the whole process was very smooth. However, according to the later news, many powerful people who went to the wedding were inexplicably missing on the second day of the wedding. It is likely that Du Erzong did it. Now, Du Erzong has been watched by many forces at the same time, which can be said to be the target of public criticism. Silence. With the falling of Xiao Xian's voice, the atmosphere in the courtyard at the moment was a strange silence, even heavy as if the air had to solidify. Until a long time. I will recover the debt owed by Dui Zong myself. The killing intention in his eyes gradually disappeared. Finally, Xiao Yang said such a sentence in the most plain tone. On one side, Bai Hua frowned and held his breath. For those who are familiar with Xiao Yang at this moment is the most terrible. The most terrible killing is the irrelevant calm after the extreme rage. At this time, Liana in the attic suddenly trotted forward quickly. There was a sad look in her young eyes, which slowly disappeared. She smiled at several lovely people and urged, "When shall we go?" The 3 men looked at the beautiful new dress of the little girl and couldn't help laughing at the same time. Xiao Yang and Xiao Xian looked at each other, smiled, nodded, and immediately smiled at Liana. Go now. Hee. Don't just laugh. You have to follow honestly this time. Don't run around. Bai Hua reminded her that the little girl was arguing. The 3 people left the hospital together and went to the layman of the Xiao family. Shuyang City, Tianyang City and Liang City are collectively referred to as 3 young cities under the command of the Xiao nationality, of which Liang City is the most prosperous. The reason is that the Zhao family, the largest family under the command of the Xiao nationality, is in charge, followed by Shuyang City. There is an auction house built for the Xiao nationality in Shuyang City, which is also the main source of Shuyang City's economy. Looking at the mainland, the establishment of the auction house has attracted the attention of thousands of people, because here, as long as you have enough resources on hand, you can shoot anything without taboo and will not be in trouble. Of course, this is just a normal cognition. After all, any obstruction will lose its effectiveness in the face of absolute strength. Shuyang City is located to the east of Xiao City, thousands of miles apart, but fortunately it has the relationship of transmission array. Xiao Yang and his party didn't spend much time. They arrived here that day. With a burst of golden light retreating, several figures appeared in the huge light array, and Xiao Yang was among them. When they felt the light that enveloped their bodies dissipated, Xiao Yang and the 3 people shook their eyelids gently, and then slowly opened their eyes. Their eyes looked at everything around them curiously. After just a few breaths, they were surprised to find that at the moment, they were not in the city, but on an open-air stone platform outside Shuyang City. This transmission array was built outside the city. Xiao Yang, who has experienced many transmission arrays, has always seen that he is located in the central area of the city and can be described as the most important economic hub of the city. However, it is really surprising that the transmission array is set outside the city in Shuyang City today. Let's go. We'd better go to the city first. Feeling the strange eyes coming from not far away, Xiao Yang found that there were only 3 of them left in the transmission array at the moment. He couldn't help thinking back and hurried along the pedestrian with 2 people beside him. On the way, the 3 glanced at the outline of the huge city not far away, but they couldn't help picking their eyebrows again. It seemed that there was more than one surprise brought to them by the city in front of them. Different from the cities seen in the past, The gate of Shuyang City in front of us is actually built at the corner of the city wall. The high wall stands like a giant beast swallowing people. The black boulders extending from the wall are deliberately manipulated into the words Shuyang City. From these alone, this city is really unique and unique. Along the pedestrian, the three walked out of the slightly dark city gate channel. Immediately, the dazzling sunshine was sprinkled from the sky. The bustling noise poured into the ear from everywhere like a magic sound, which made Xiao Yang frown slightly. Slightly squinting, he slowly raised his eyes and looked at the huge internal city in front of him and the crowded crowd on the wide streets. Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning and praising that it was the top 3 city under the command of Xiao nationality. The scale of Shuyang City was no less than that of Donghua City in southern regions, or even worse. Where are you going next? The birch's eyes strafed around, paused slightly on the towering strange shadow at the end of the street, and whispered. Xiao Yang pondered slightly, his eyes also stopped on the shadow, and then he took the shortcut. Let's go to several large medicine stores in the city first. Since there are auction stores here, there should be a lot of rare medicinal materials in circulation. If you're lucky, maybe you can find Zumeikao there. The white birch nodded slightly, while the lotus on one side couldn't help looking around. The transparent, beautiful eyes were full of curiosity. At the same time, this pure and tender cheek also attracted the attention of many people around. Salivating eyes involuntarily fell on the young woman's delicate body. In this regard, Xiao Yang just thought about it, and an invisible pressure immediately spread from his body. Even if he made the people around him come back, he hurried to spread for a distance, and their body circumference became much more spacious. Let's go. Xiao Yang was in front. Bai Hua took the curious liana in one hand. The 3 people walked forward slowly. The passers-by who saw Xiao Yang's terror in front also hurried to give way. The party shuttled freely among the crowd and walked towards the strange shadow at the end of their sight. The 3 slowly shuttled through the huge Shuyang city. They looked at the shops on both sides of the street from time to time, scanning and exploring all the way, but Xiao Yang didn't see any drugstores that could attract his attention, but the increasingly crowded flow of people around made them feel the excitement of Shuyang City. Although he didn't get any results along the way, Xiao Yang didn't worry about it. Shumi herb is a very precious medicinal material. There are not many in the collection of Xiao nationality. It's a bit of extravagant hope to find it easily in Shuyang City. Along the way, Xiao Yang's vision in front of them gradually became clear. Just now, they clearly realized that the strange shadow standing at the end of their sight was a huge stone tower under the sun. According to their appearance, it was just the same as the strange stone tower Xiao Yang saw among the Xiao family. According to Xiao Yang's estimation, the location of the stone tower should be the center of Shuyang City. At the same time, around the stone tower, there is also a high-walled building. Judging from its shape, it is probably the only auction house in the city. A moment later, their steps finally stopped in front of an extremely large attic. Mu Lu looked at the attic in front of him in surprise. Xiao Yang couldn't help but slightly opened his mouth and immediately hissed. Unexpectedly, he could still see its branch in the Xiao family in the middle region. Cloud-hidden pavilion. This guy thought his branch was just the mainland border. Unexpectedly, he even dabbled in the central region. Smiling and grinning, Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling a burst of admiration for Luo Jin's means. That guy always does something that ordinary people can't do and extends the family power to the feet of the 3 clans. Even the 3 clans dare not do this. After all, once discovered by the Xiao clan, I'm afraid it will not be wiped out. Standing in front of Union Pavilion, Xiao Yang smiled, and then directly took Bai Hua into it. Compared with others, he entered here with an extra sense of intimacy. At least he believed that Union Pavilion would not be his enemy. Entering the cloud-hidden pavilion, the noise from the outside immediately weakened a lot. A strong smell of medicine mixed with countless kinds of medicinal materials came to their faces. The strong smell of medicine made the 3 people sneeze. He rubbed his nose. When Xiao Yang's eyes turned, a shadow greeted him quickly, and laughter followed. 3 guests, I don't know what you need. We have everything from martial arts and fighting skills to pills and herbs, or array plates. It must be able to meet your needs. The voice fell. In front of Xiao Yang's eyes, an old man dressed in golden robes appeared. He looked at him with a gentle smile. At the moment, he was looking at him. The old man had noticed Xiao Yang when they entered the attic. When he observed them with his soul power, he was surprised to find that with his 5 levels of soul power, he could not see the depth of the young man. At present, he was more respectful in his eyes when facing Xiao Yang. The 5th Order Array Mage is worthy of the handwriting of Union Pavilion. Seeing the old man dressed like this, Xiao Yang couldn't help saying a secret word. He immediately didn't talk nonsense. He smiled at the old man, turned his wrist, took out a white jade fan from the ring and handed it to the old man. The latter smiled and took over the white jade fan. With a sweep of his eyes, the expression on an old face suddenly changed. He couldn't help but inhale. He immediately looked at the jade fan in his hand carefully. After a few breaths, he carefully handed it back to Xiao Yang's hand, arched his hand slightly respectfully, and said, "It's Mr. Xiao Yang. What do you need me to do?" Hearing that the old man actually called out his name, Xiao Yang was a little surprised. Then he hugged his fist and said with a smile, "You're welcome, sir. I'm here just to find a medicinal herb called shumi grass. I don't know if it's available." Shumi grass? As soon as Xiao Yang said this, the old man immediately hesitated, but he still nodded heavily and said, "Yes." In the cloud-hidden pavilion, hearing the old man's words, Xiao Yang couldn't help showing a happy look. Unexpectedly, Shuyang City and his party found the results so quickly. In this way, the medicinal materials for refining Zong Dan were found. But, at this time, the old man in front of him spoke with a slight hesitation. The mood in Xiao Yang's heart couldn't help but tighten suddenly. "If there are any medicinal materials, please ask Mr. Xiao Yang to take a moment. Some things are quite troublesome, but I promise I will give Zumeikao with both hands." Seeing the change in Xiao Yang's face, the old man quickly comforted him. The former was relieved again, nodded to the old man and thanked him. Even under his leadership, he entered a compartment in the cloud-hidden pavilion, and the old man then went out. Look at what he looked like just now. It seems that he has some difficulties. After the old man left, Baihua said what she had just observed. It seems that there should be some trouble. Wait first. If we can't, we'll find another place. We can't bring trouble to Union Pavilion. Listening to what Baihua said, Xiao Yang nodded slowly. When the old man heard about shumi grass on the first day of the first day, his face had changed, but he was still cruel in the end. Obviously, it was because of the relationship between him and Luo Jin, otherwise he would not be so decisive. While Xiao Yang was talking, outside the hall, there was a sudden noise, and listening to the sound getting closer and closer, it was obvious that someone was coming towards them, let alone doubt that the man at the moment was in a bad mood. Well, what a cloud-hidden pavilion. I don't hesitate to offend my young master for the sake of a so-called guest of honor. I'll have a good look today. Who dares to snatch food from the tiger? Outside the door, the angry curse was already clear to the ear. Hearing the voice, Xiao Yang frowned strangely. The next moment, he only heard a bang. The closed door was forcibly smashed by an external force. Then a domineering figure stepped into the compartment, looked angrily at the 3 people present, led by a young man, next to the former old man and the rest of the crowd. All eyes looked into the compartment through the gap. However, when the young man who broke through the door saw the 3 people in front of him, his angry face suddenly became iron blue, and the angry words that he wanted to spout from his mouth suddenly stopped. Even the other young man who followed him also stepped into the hall, his eyes suddenly coagulated, and his face looked at the 3 Xiao Yang sitting in front of him. In the compartment, Xiao Yang looked strangely at the 2 young men close at hand. He couldn't help but feel a burst of laughter. The young man with an iron face in front of him is Zhao Mingjie, the son of the Zhao family who met in Tianyang City, and the young man standing at the door with a surprised face is Xiao Tian, who was kicked out by him the day before yesterday. It's really unimaginable that the 2 who have both eaten shriveled in Xiao Yang's hands appear in front of Xiao Yang at the same time today, and still have such a funny scene. Is he your VIP? For a long time, Xiao Tian's face was a little ugly and asked the old man aside. The latter was also aware of the situation on the field at the moment. When asked again at the moment, he seemed to be at a loss. He had to nod silently, immediately looked at Xiao Yang on the field and whispered, "Mr. Xiao Yang, how do you know these two? Not only do you know each other, but you've also handed them over, haven't you, child Zhao?" Xiao Yang smiled faintly. His eyes paused on Zhao Mingjie, whose face was blue, and immediately looked at Xiao Tian. The latter too were ugly and silent. At the same time, their anger towards Xiao Yang was deeper. "Fight! Mr. Xiao Yang, young master Xiao Tian is a Xiao family." When the old man was surprised at the fight between Xiao Yang and Xiao Tian, he suddenly seemed to understand something. His eyes slowly raised and looked at Xiao Yang in front of him. He didn't fully understand until he saw the latter smile and nod. No wonder Xiao Yang came out here. No wonder he was so calm in front of Xiao Tian. He is also a member of the Xiao family. "Xiao Yang, don't be too proud. Don't forget that this is Shuyang City, but no one can protect you anymore." After a long silence, Zhao Mingjie finally shouted angrily again. However, Xiao Yang sneered and said, "Protect me. Child Zhao, do you think it's necessary for me to be protected with your strength? As long as you wait a moment, you will pay for what you say now." Zhao Mingjie hissed and roared, even a little crazy. Xiao Yang still hugged him with a sneer, slowly got up and said, "Really? But at least, you can't." At the moment when the voice fell, Xiao Yang's body shape already appeared in front of Zhao Mingjie. His 5 fingers were closed and he punched out. Bang! The next second, another figure was in front of Zhao Mingjie. It was also a blow. It was opposite to Xiao Yang's face. Seeing the figure clearly, it was Xiao Tian. "Xiao Yang, don't go too far." Xiao Tian's face is slightly heavy. He knows Xiao Yang's power, but Zhao Mingjie didn't fight him today after all. Xiao Yang is so strong, which is a little too much. "I'm too much. Why don't you say you forced me to do this?" In the face of Xiao Tian, Xiao Yang was not afraid. Instead, he gave a sneer. After entering the Xiao family, these guys blocked him several times. He has endured all the obstacles. He can endure even the things that Xiao Jinghong blocked him from entering the Yuntian Pavilion, but today Xiao Xian was hurt by Xiao Qian. He can't bear it. At this time, let him meet the person in front of him, and he won't keep his hand. A thought flashed in his heart, and the fierce color in Xiao Yang's eyes flashed away. He immediately gave a violent drink in his heart. At the opposite place of the 2 fists, a terrible force erupted like a mountain torrent. For a moment, Xiao Tian's face suddenly changed, but he could return the future and respond. He was blasted back by Xiao Yansheng's fist, and Zhao Mingjie behind him was also knocked out. Xiao Yang stopped when he put them down with 1 punch, and said coldly, "Where are the herbs?" "Here it is." On one side, the old man hurried forward and sent a tray to Xiao Yang. In the tray, there was a translucent ice crystal jade box containing a herb, which was undoubtedly the shumi grass Xiao Yang was looking for. "How many spirit stones do you want? Or pills?" Seeing the old man coming forward, Xiao Yang immediately returned to his previous calm posture and said softly. The former quickly shook his head and smiled. Mr. Xiao Yang's words are very polite. The pavilion leader has ordered that if Mr. Xiao Yang comes, no matter what you need, Union Pavilion will provide it unconditionally. Just take it, sir. After hearing this, Xiao Yang was stunned. After thinking for a moment, he was no longer polite. He nodded at the old man's thanks, took the jade box in one hand and took it into the ring. Then he looked at the 2 people who had climbed up from the ground again. His face was cold and his tone was angry. "I advise you, if you have resentment, just come towards me. If you dare to move the cloud-hidden pavilion for half a cent, I Xiao Yang will repay 100 times. Then, with the white birch behind them, they walked out of the cloud-hidden pavilion in the surprised eyes outside the door. After walking out of the cloud-hidden pavilion, the dazzling sun immediately sprinkled on his face, washing away all the haze and unhappiness on the 3 people's faces. The noise in the street sounded again, which gradually calmed Xiao Yang's mood. Compared with seeing the 2 people, he was more inclined to the noisy outside world. "Go home." The birch looked around and whispered. When Zumikao arrived, the purpose of their trip was achieved. Naturally, there was no need to stay any longer. In addition, Bai Hua was somewhat worried about Zhao Mingjie's angry words just now. After all, as they know, behind Zhao Mingjie, there was a father of Yuan Zun level. Once they met him, I'm afraid things won't end easily. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang pondered slightly. She also considered this in her heart. Then she looked aside. Liana, who was curious to look around, paused a little, but smiled relieved. Well, since you're here, it's natural to take a good look. If you get shumi grass, you won't be so anxious. Let's have a good time with this girl today. Moreover, the auction house is also worth going in and taking a look. Maybe you can get unexpected gains. The Zhao family. When soldiers come to block, water and earth cover up. Don't forget that both his Zhao family and this Shuyang city are under the rule of the Xiao nationality. Knowing Bai Hua's worries, Xiao Yang turned to smile at her, and her face gradually became relaxed. Her eyes fell on Liana's body and looked at the still childish cheek. Xiao Yang couldn't help but show a spoiled look on her face, gently rubbed Liana's pretty little head with one hand, and allowed the latter to pout and mutter. Then he gently raised his chin towards the towering black stone tower in front of the street and said faintly, "Let's go." After that, she opened the way in front of her head. After that, Liana naturally followed up. Bai Hua turned her head and looked at the cloud-hidden pavilion behind her, frowned slightly, and then followed up. Without hindrance, the two people naturally ran around like a happy pony. The smile on their pretty face was even more fascinating. Looking at the girl's lively appearance, Xiao Yang was inexplicably envious. Although we can see the shape of the huge black tower from a distance, we can see where the three are at this time. There seems to be a distance to get there. Although the three in a line are not in a hurry, Xiao Yang seems to underestimate Liana's mind. Once the woman's nature was released, the shops along the street seemed to be 2 rows of sweet cakes in her eyes. Under the crazy rage of Liana, she almost broke into the shops along the street and searched them all the way. Even with the financial resources in Xiao Yang's hands, she couldn't help feeling a burst of flesh pain and looked at the acceptance ring handed by the shop owner with a smile on her face, as well as his crazy output of the spirit stone. Xiao Yang looked a little trance on his face, but the white birch on one side looked at him with a smile, and his eyes were full of banter. Alas! With a bitter smile and a sigh, Xiao Yang couldn't help but look at the white birch for help. The latter would smile. He grabbed Liana, who was trying to win the door, and obediently pulled him behind him. Xiao Yang didn't dare to neglect and hurried to the auction house in the center of the city. If he continues to let the girl go on like this, he's afraid he'll dig out all his family's money here. A moment later, an auction house surrounded by the huge black tower appeared in front of the three people. The huge auction house is in a ring shape, surrounding the stone column in the middle, and the towering dark wall stands like a copper wall and iron wall, which brings people an unwarranted oppression. At the moment, outside the auction house, many people are gathered in line, waiting to enter the auction house in turn. I've been waiting for a while. Looking at the slightly crowded stream of people in front of him, Xiao Yang couldn't help but smack his mouth and frown slightly. At this moment, the team outside the auction must wait for them to enter, even if they have to wait another hour. In this regard, the birch naturally took a meaningless attitude, looked calmly at the lively scene in front of her, couldn't hold her hand tightly, looked around and waited quietly for the lotus who wanted to leave. This is Mr. Xiao Yang. However, just as Xiao Yang frowned, a slightly suspicious voice suddenly came from the crowd on one side. At present, the three people followed the prestige, and the group led by a middle-aged man turned to them. As soon as his eyes turned, Xiao Yang immediately locked his eyes on a middle-aged man in front of him. Seeing the latter, Xiao Yang only thought for a moment in his mind, and immediately recognized that the middle-aged man in front of him was Anan, the owner who had stopped him in Tianyang City. It's the owner of the house. I haven't seen you for days. I'm fine. Back to God. Xiao Yang arched his hand politely towards Anan. Although he had no good feelings for this man, he would not ignore him. Moreover, Anan was polite first and should repay him with courtesy. Hehe, Mr. Xiao Yang is kind. Anan was clumsy and failed to recognize his identity a month ago. Until recently, some news about him often came from the family. I learned that he was also a member of the Xiao family. Anan dared not neglect Xiao Yang's attitude. As far as he knew, this seemingly ordinary young man in black robes caused a lot of trouble when he first joined the Xiao family. Later, he was favored by the senior level of the Xiao family. Now he can appear in front of him again, which is an opportunity for him to settle down. Seeing that the owner of his family showed such a respectful attitude towards a strange young man, several settled children behind Anan couldn't help but cast surprised eyes on Xiao Yang in black robe, and they couldn't help wondering who the young man could make Anan so respectful. Anan, it's too early for you to say this. Before all the dust is settled, he can't be called a real person of the Xiao family. At most, he's just a foreigner with the same surname. While Xiao Yang was talking and laughing with Anan, a cold laugh filled with disdain suddenly sounded from the crowd on one side. The voice of words came, and the people around him quickly gave way. Then, Xiao Yang saw Xiao Tian again, who was defeated by him not long ago. But different from before, in front of these two people, there was a middle-aged figure in light yellow clothes. The laughter just came from his mouth. Slightly narrowed eyes looked at the middle-aged man who gradually came forward, and a touch of surprise flashed in Xiao Yang's eyes. With his current soul power, he could not see through the strength of the middle-aged man. In this way, there was probably no need to doubt his identity. This middle-aged man must be the owner of the Zhao family in Liang City, Zhao Jin. This video will end here.